To understand the idea of blended learning, it may be helpful to think about a tale of two cultures, or more specifically, the movie industry and water. You may be thinking, well, how do both of these relate to blended learning? Well, let me explain. So, in the 1930s and 1940s, if you wanted to see your news or you wanted to watch a movie, you had to find your local movie theater and purchase a ticket. It was based upon supply and demand and when the movie theater was open. And then what happened is in the 1950s and 60s, television really revolutionized the way that we received news and even watch entertainment. And sitcoms started becoming more and more popular, and even TV movies. But in the 1980s, the VHS tape was created. And so a company that we all know very well, Blockbuster, created an entire new industry based upon a technology that existed in the VHS tape. Blockbusters popped up all over the place, and they adapted to the needs of the changing public who had VHS players in their household. So then what happened was Blockbuster adapted to the times when DVDs and DVD rental started to emerge, and more people started watching their movies through DVDs. And it was a great model. You go to the store, you rent a DVD or VHS for 2 or 3 days, you bring it back. Well, another company was up and coming as well. In the 1990s, a company called Netflix tried to revolutionize the way that we receive DVDs. They created a mail order DVD service where you would just choose what movies you might be interested in. They would send the movies to you, you watch them, you send them back. It seemed like a really great model, but it didn't catch on. In fact, in the 2014, they didn't even make $1 billion, but people were interested in Netflix. However, in 2004, everything changed. Blockbuster was at $6 billion a year. And then all of a sudden, the end would happen about 6 years later. Why? The internet. The internet made it easier for people to stream their favorite movies and favorite entertainment without having to sit in line. And Blockbuster failed to adapt. They failed to adapt to changing technologies and the changing needs of the consumer or customer. When we sit in our classrooms, we have a customer as well. And that customer is our student. Are we adapting our curriculum to the needs of the student, or are we forcing students to adapt to the needs of the curriculum? In the latter example, adapting to the needs of the curriculum, forcing students to do that, that's the Blockbuster approach, expecting students to power down when they come to class and learn like the way that we learned many years ago in rows and our classrooms and reciting information when in fact they could be creating content. I love this quote by Bruce Lee, which says that we need to adapt like water. Okay, when you pour water into a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. When you pour water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water essentially is learning. If we can adapt learning to the different needs of our students and help personalize learning for them, they will adapt to an ever-changing world, much like Netflix did, adapting from a DVD model into an online model that's really revolutionized the way that we watch TV. So you may want to think about why. Why should I even consider blended learning in my classroom? Well, I think it comes down to your customer. Your customer is your students. And we know that the way that we learn is as different as our DNA or fingerprint. And so not every single student is going to learn the same way. Blended learning offers an approach that helps customize instruction and gives students appropriate choice through the time, place, path, and pace. And it combines the best of brick and mortar with online components and marries the two together and provides different modalities for students to understand content. We know that students need different ways to engage, different ways to represent content, and also different ways to express their knowledge. Blended learning allows students to use these different modalities to enhance and solidify learning. So I have to ask you, with your classroom and your approach, are you more like Blockbuster, expecting your customer to adapt to you? Or are you more like Netflix, expecting your product to adapt to your customer? It's a very valuable question in the digital age. and it could have huge implications in your educational future.